Closed captioning is brought to you by IT Life in Motion. KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust. Serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson Navigation, serving Guam and Micronesia for 20 years. Cars Plus, Dodge Challenger, the undisputed champion. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, located in Tamuning and Dededo. Always open, always local.
I most humbly ask for your leniency.
Ahead on Primetime, his fate has been decided. A former GPD officer convicted in the killing of another cop is going to jail. Plus, our team coverage continues as Issa Baza gathers reaction outside of the courtroom. And our Valerie Maige with details on how the local prison is tightening up its security.
Hot today and good evening.
8 years in prison. That's the sentencing that came down against ex-cop Mark Torrey Jr. in court today. This comes just 3 months after a jury convicted him of negligent homicide in the shooting death of fellow officer Bert Piolo. We begin our team coverage tonight with a look inside the courtroom. Former GPD officer Mark Torrey Jr. stands by his attorney as Judge Michael Berdalio details the sentencing. Here's the breakdown. Torrey gets 3 years for negligent homicide with all but 2 years suspended. That means 2 years for that charge. He also got 6 years for the special allegation of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony.
For a total of 8 years at the Department of Corrections, 6 years to be consecutive.
The judge giving the same sentencing for the aggravated assault conviction and special allegation attached to run concurrent. Torrey Jr. was convicted for the 2015 shooting death of Officer Bert Piolo. However, tensions were high in the courtroom prior to sentencing. Piolo's wife, Mika, is first to take the stand.
Ever since that day, our family has had the light shot out. Our family was broken and grieving. No one believes that he committed suicide. That is not who he is. He loved life and was trying to put his brand out there. Good vibes. He is Mr. Good Vibes.
Bert's teenage son, Jaden, breaking down as he reads the text message he sent to his dad that day.
Hi, Daddy. I heard about the news the police gave us. I asked myself a few questions. Are you really God? Why did you have to go?
Bert's brother, Edison, looked at Torrey throughout most of his testimony.
The sentencing of you, Mr. Jr., I hope I assure you, if you've done the right thing in the first place, if you could have said it was an accident, why try us only 3 years? You could have just said, hey, it's an accident.
He even forgave Torrey in court, but others in Bert's family called for accountability, like Bert's mother, Geraldine.
PTSD, alcohol blackout are just your alibis. Why had to bring your gun in the first place? Since you are the off at that time and then going to a bar. He lost his life. I do believe in my heart and have that feeling that you had intention to kill me.
Then Lieutenant Mark Torrey took the stand.
On the morning of that tragic event, I witnessed firsthand Marky's sincere and unwavering efforts to desperately save Elbert's life.
Coming to his son's defense.
We truly believe then and still today he did nothing wrong. I offer my family's most sincere and profound condolences, which have and always will be with you.
And when Torrey Jr. spoke,
I'm so very sorry about Bert's death. I would never intentionally, recklessly, negligently, or accidentally hurt Bert. Bert's death will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Torrey Jr. asked the judge for leniency. The prosecution asked for the max 28-year sentence, while the defense asked for no jail time.
Clearly, he has no remorse. The court has no better candidate for successful rehabilitation. He will rehabilitate. He already has. He will continue to rehabilitate.
On top of the 8-year sentence, a $3,000 fine, he will be eligible for parole in 6 years. Restitution is to be addressed at a later time. Torrey Jr. was ordered to report to the local prison on July 14th. And with what was going on outside of the courtroom, Issa Baza has more on the 2-hour wait and the reaction moments after the 8-year sentence was handed down.
Solemn faces and silence as Mark Torrey Jr.'s family exited the courtroom, his pregnant wife Julia holding him close. Though Torrey's family declined to comment, his attorney Jay Arreola spoke out in disappointment at the 8-year sentence.
The judge was well within his authority to render that sentence. However, he was just as well within his authority to suspend any sentences as the law provides in a case like this. The sentence was disparate in terms of others similarly convicted of similar crimes.
The former police officer declined to speak with media as well and walked out surrounded by family members. Moments later, Piolo's family appeared, his wife Mika seen teary-eyed, holding one of their youngest children in her arms. His mother Geraldine walking just feet behind.
Well, it's better than nothing. That's what I'm going to say. We cannot just, whatever their decision is, we're just going to follow whatever.
Piolo's brother Edison was seen only waving to news crews and saying the word unclosed.
Do you feel like justice was served for your son?
A little bit, but we're not really satisfied.
The 2-hour-long hearing was tense from beginning to end, with a handful of friends waiting patiently outside as deputy marshals guarded the entrance to the courtroom. At some moments, loved ones could be seen hugging each other in support. In others, they could be seen walking out in tears. Chief Prosecutor Phil Tydenko said as an officer of the court, he thinks the outcome was fair.
I certainly wish we could have gotten more for the sake of the family. I still think it sends a strong message to the community to trust the sentence here that a police officer who is negligent in causing another fellow police officer his death with the use of a firearm will be held accountable through a prison sentence.
He adds the case also brought to light larger issues on Guam, like the lack of regulations governing the right to carry a weapon while intoxicated. Tydenko said if there is a law made to prohibit the possession of a weapon while under the influence of alcohol, that law should be called Burt's Law. As both families now wrestle with the decision made today, Torrey's attorney Arreola made it clear the battle is far from over.
Mr. Torrey will certainly be filing his appeal at the appropriate time.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
A Guam police officer has been fired after he pleaded guilty to official misconduct and hindering apprehension charges. In March, Officer Manuel Perez was arrested along with his wife after a police investigation led authorities to a meth find in their home. An internal affairs investigation was launched, and as a result, the chief of police was forced to remove him from the force. Perez is currently appealing his demotion handed down earlier this year after he was disciplined for continuously showing up late for work. No word yet if he is appealing his termination as well.
Another notch in the belt tightened for the local prison as the Department of Corrections checks off yet another item that was on their recently lifted consent decree.
It's been 26 years in the making as Valerie Maige reports. DEPCOR is finally getting that much needed enhanced security measure installed, and that's new locks.
Securing the prisoners. Governor Eddie Calvo today signing a contract for services to install the new locking system with local construction company Reliable Builders at DOC. The new upgrade comes just 2 months after the District Court of Guam lifted DEPCOR's quarter-of-a-century-old consent decree. In April, the court ruled the agency has the means to provide the adequate care to detainees and inmates.
These issues all started in 1991 when the federal government filed suit against the prison for violating the constitutional right of the prisoners. The consent decree was dismissed in district court in April.
Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio says the upgraded system is long overdue and needed in order to assist the corrections officers in doing their jobs.
DOC, just like the police department, they respond to the symptom of the problem. You know, the answer to the crime problem along with this is not blame or anything else. It's looking at the core issues and making sure that we get locking mechanisms, safety conditions, make sure that if there is a major calamity that those inmates and the officers can get out of those cell units so they're not endangered. That's the real goal of it.
DEPCOR spokesperson Jeff Lemo says they've come a long way from the time the department only had padlocks and chains.
I've been there 26, 27 years now, and I've seen it change dramatically. 3 administrations I sat in, and we're now just doing it today.
The contract is priced at $2.8 million, and officials are working out a timeline to begin installing the new locks. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Valerie Maige.
Both men charged with nearly killing Dep-Court detainee Justin Meno will remain behind bars. Defendant Jeremiah Ishizaki made his first court appearance in the attempted murder case. Like his co-defendant Albert Santos II, bail was set at $100,000. Here's prosecutor Sean Brown.
Ishizaki does have significant criminal history. This is an attempted murder case, and I believe through sheer luck the victim is still alive. The people who asked for the same cash bail as asked for the co-actor, which is $100,000.
Ishizaki was court-appointed attorney Terrence Timblin. Meanwhile, Santos was appointed a new lawyer, attorney Jeff Moots. As reported, Meno was brutally beaten while confined in Post 6, which is the maximum security unit. Meno is recovering and was able to identify his attackers using a photo lineup. Both men will answer to the charges on June 28.
Well, the man charged with attacking a police officer at Hamlani's Harmon Apartments last year enters a plea agreement with the government. VK Katsun pleaded guilty to aggravated assault as a third-degree felony. The remaining charge of an assault on a police officer was dismissed. The deal outlines a 2-year sentence with credit for time served. According to attorney Randy Cunliffe, his client already served 6 months in jail. Katsun will be allowed to self-surrender in mid-August. We should note his case, as well as the need for frequent policing in the area, prompted the governor to form a safe housing task force, as well as call on the feds to effectuate deportations.
Stick around for more news here on Primetime.
You're watching KUAM.
There are more ways to experience KUAM News than any other source on Guam. Download the KUAM News app for your Apple or Android device for 24/7 news, sports, videos, weather, streaming with KUAM radio, and important news alerts. And stay connected at home with Guam's first app for Apple TV. All available now from the App Store.
When we face an uncertain path, when we struggle with life's challenges, and when the unexpected happens, it's a beautiful day. We rely on the people we trust, it's a beautiful, who we can always count on. And the ones who give us the most care throughout the years. Rely on Calvo's Select Care to give you the comfort and security you need wherever you are. Calvo's Select Care, health care that's always there for you.
Celebrate more data on the ITE Family Share Plan. Get the amazing Samsung Galaxy S8 and an S7 for just $198 when you bundle your mobile plans on a share plan.
Drive and discover at Guam's best dealership, Cars Plus in Mighty. With Guam's best warranty, there's no better time to drive a Hyundai Accent starting at $11,995 or the Hyundai Elantra starting at $16,995. It's not just newer, it's better. SUV lovers, check out the Hyundai Tucson, J.D. Power's top-ranked small SUV starting at $19,995 or save $4,500 and see the advantages that put the Hyundai Santa Fe at the head of its class. Get to Cars Plus today to drive and discover the quality and value that is Hyundai. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is not all fun and games. Our pizza is delicious with the freshest toppings, oven baked to order. Try the fresh salad bar, sandwiches, and don't forget our mouth-watering wings. Come and eat at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
For 20 years, Matson has been an important part of our everyday lives. Bringing in the cars we drive, the food we eat, and the materials that helped build our homes. From caring for our land through the Adahi Itanu program to generously supporting our local charities, Matson has contributed to the preservation and growth of our island. On behalf of those you've served throughout your 20 years on Guam, Kidza Maasi Matson.
Connect with KUAM News. Find us on your favorite social media platform. Follow us and stay in the know with Guam's news leader.
In a bid to resolve once and for all the crumbling facilities, inadequate equipment, and chronic financial woes at the Guam Memorial Hospital, the governor is proposing an increase in the gross receipts tax from 4% to 4.75%. Nestor Lacanto reports.
Dr. Kozui Shimabukuro made the case for why the island's only public hospital needs the money, needs the modernization.
Why should our children die 4 or 5 times more than the children in California? Our infant mortality rate that's just got published last time in 2012 is 14%. California is 4.7%.
She made a similar impassioned plea at a legislative budget hearing recently, and the governor and Senator Dennis Rodriguez are responding with complementary proposals to raise the money. Calvo's plan is to float a bond for the long-delayed capital improvements. The new revenue from the proposed tax increase will be set aside specifically to pay for the bonds and to cover the annual budget shortfalls plaguing GMH.
We have to accept everybody. That's just how the hospital works. So the increase in the GRT would go towards filling that gap, and also on the necessary debt service that you would pay for the $125 million bond.
Meanwhile, Senator Rodriguez says he will also introduce legislation to impose a 4% fee on health insurance premiums to fund a new Guam health insurance program for low-income residents who might not otherwise be able to afford it.
The possibilities of adding 16,000 more of our residents who don't have insurance today to have insurance and be operated by the industry, I think that's something that they should be able to consider.
He expects pushback, though, from the insurance industry, which most likely will have to pass on much of the cost to members. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lacanto.
Thanks, Nestor. It could help address chronic financial issues at Guam's only public hospital. Chief Executive Officer Peter John Camacho says while the Guam Memorial Hospital primarily offers inpatient services that are usually reimbursed on a per diem basis, he instead pushed for a greater focus on outpatient services.
With regards to the outpatient, obviously our reimbursement would be better, and that kind of helps us with our financial needs here.
In addition, he says the shift would help provide a better continuum of care for patients. The hospital has been pushing for resources to facilitate outpatient services and facilitates upgrades since last year. However, he received only a fraction of the funding requests. Despite this, Camacho says he's committed to making the changes.
Governor Eddie Calvo says it only makes sense for the legislature to pass Bill 1S. Calvo introduced the legislation, also known as the Tran Bill, that would give a $75 million credit line to speed up the payment of tax refunds. The legislature maintains the bill did not pass, while the governor believes it did pass, based on his interpretation of the Organic Act. Meanwhile, the matter is before the Supreme Court.
A worthy enough bill. This is a bill to get tax refunds to the people immediately without increasing debt, lowering interest rates. So it made all sense for this bill to pass into law. There was a majority of those present and voting that voted for it. So what better vehicle and venue and piece of legislation to finally resolve this question on the Organic Act and what it means does mean to have a bill passed and then enacted by a governor.
The governor also comments on the possible recusal of Supreme Court Justice Robert Torres, stating he respects both Justice Torres and his wife, Senator Mary Camacho Torres. However, the senator has made it clear on where she stands on the Tran Bill. The scheduling conference is set for tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Supreme Court of Guam.
Well, the Filipino community of Guam celebrates Philippine Independence Month with their annual ball and inauguration of officers. Sabrina Salas-Matanani has this more on the celebration.
The Dusitani Ballroom was packed with pride as the Filipino community of Guam celebrated the 119th anniversary of the proclamation of Philippine independence. FCG President Norman Analista says not only is it a time to reflect on the past, but to focus on the future by encouraging Filipinos to embrace their heritage.
In this day and age, the struggles that I think Filipinos face are those that really make it difficult for them to embrace their own unique cultural identity. There are some times where Filipinos want to be like other ethnicities, whether it be because of the skin color, facial features, and all those different things where they feel the need to have to alter their appearance just so that they could feel at the level of other ethnic groups. And I think those are the things that we need to think about. Why do we need to do those things? To think that, to change our appearance so that we can be on level with other groups. So that's just one example. There are other examples that prevent Filipinos from being proud of their unique cultural heritage. Sometimes Filipinos don't want to admit they're Filipinos, and they say they're a mix of different things. They're Spanish, they're Chinese, they're Hawaiian, and so forth, rather than just simply saying they're Filipino. And so there are instances where we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, why is this taking place? Why is this happening? Well, the only way to combat that is truly through education. Because when you can educate yourself, you can start to question what are those different things that attack our own self-esteem and try to make us inferior so that we can figure out how to combat those situations.
June has been proclaimed as Philippine Independence Month. Aside from the recent ball, a wreath-laying ceremony was held at the Mabini Shrine located near the Asan War in the Pacific National Park. Apolinario Mabini is described as a revolutionary hero of the Philippines who was exiled here on Guam.
Well, sports is coming up, but first, here's weather.
What can I say? My family was tired of seeing red from internet data caps. We switched to GTA and life is good again. Sure, it took a bit of time for some of us to adjust to our newfound internet freedom.
Don't turn off the show. How does it end?
Relax, honey. The data limits are gone. You can watch the whole show now.
But we're all happy with the change, and I think it's even earned me some cool points.
You rock, Mom.
That's right. It's getting lit up in here. How about that?
Okay. So I need to finish this homework now.
Okay, I'm done.
My son, though, he's in the midst of a serious rebellion. Rebelling against an alien invasion, that is.
Free yourself. Switch to GTA Home Internet today. Truly unlimited with no data caps or additional usage fees.
My name is Erica Pangilinan, and I am a graduate of the University of Guam. When I finished high school, I had the opportunity to attend other colleges, but I knew Guam was the only place I wanted to be. Growing up, family meant everything to me. UOG helped me realize that great things can start right here at home. Having the advantage of being near my family and still getting a valuable education was having the best of both worlds. As a wife and mother, my journey to graduation was challenging, but luckily, I had an amazing support team. My husband, parents, professors, and my fellow Tritons were there to help and encourage me and making me feel like I belonged to a family at UOG. It allowed me to gain many experiences and skills while building professional bonds with my peers. Now that I've earned my bachelor's degree, I'm proud to say that I am and will always be a UOG Triton.
Maestros lead with authority, exactness, inspiration. It's that kind of performance that deserves a standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, lead like a pro. The GMC Acadia. Step up to GMC and get nearly $5,900 total value on select 2017 GMC Acadia vehicles in stock.
Visit AutoSpot GMC today.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
Off today, Guam, Chris Barnett, Mekulis, woohoo! Putting the wet in Wetness Day. It's KUAM Sports, proudly brought to you by Triple J. Let's get right to it here. The great sports show for you guys tonight.
Jiu-jitsu competitor Jeremiah St-Nicholas started training back in 2009-10 at Carlson Gracie Guam Academy under instructor Gabe Baker. Maya has been home for 3 weeks, enjoying time with family and getting in some mat time as well. He's a purple belt under Baker and has been a student at the gym for about 6 years.
It's humbling, you know. I mean, it's funny. It's like the student becomes a teacher. Now Maya comes out here and, helps teach the academy and stuff. And, I mean, I've been blessed to have a couple of students to do that and go out there and compete in an international level or a national level and do great. So I'm really humbled. I'm really humbled and blessed to see them come back and share.
So Nicolas leaves Island tomorrow and will be competing in the 2017 NABJJF LA International Open Tournament. He is a 2015 NABJJF gold medalist in the adult purple middleweight division. He also got the gold in an in-house tournament. So Nicolas trains at Conde Calma and Cali under Chris Gutierrez. Jeremiah currently serves in the U.S. Coast Guard and is stationed in Long Beach, California.
Out here on Guam, a lot of tough guys here to train with. It's been really good. Gabe's been preparing me, doing some special training with me. I learned a lot of pressure techniques from Gabe, old school Carson Gracie techniques. And, as I moved towards out in Cali, my level, my jiu-jitsu has progressed. Many different talents out there, so I kind of had to adapt to the game out there, and it made me a lot better.
Basketball news now. Pacific Watch, New Zealand National Basketball League edition. Men's national team players making news in pro leagues overseas. Curtis Washington, playing for the Taranaki Mountain Airs. He's a 6'10 power forward. Started the New Zealand League season with the Nelson Giants, averaging 9.3 points and 4.2 boards in 10 games before moving on to the Taranaki Mountain Airs in April this year. Washington averaged 9 points and 7.2 boards during his 6 games for the Mountain Airs. He played in the